Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video.
Single female lawyer fighting for her client, wearing sexy mini skirts and being self-reliant. Hey, I'm pretty good.
So, if you didn't think that the Disney Plus Marvel shows could get any stupider, well, got news for you. She-Hulk's out. Let's talk about it. So, She-Hulk starts off innocuous enough. We start with Jennifer Walters getting ready for a legal brief that she is preparing in front of her colleagues, and immediately the MCU stupidity starts. Now, let me preface this with the idea that I really enjoy She-Hulk in the comics. And I really enjoy She-Hulk because she is the antithesis of the Hulk. The Hulk's issue is that Bruce Banner has a problem in conveying his anger in healthy ways, and so it builds up. So when he is exposed to gamma radiation, all of that anger personifies itself into a raging green monster known as Hulk. Jennifer Walters, on the other hand, who happens to be Bruce Banner's cousin, and who gets her gamma radiation exposure through a blood transfusion from a near-death experience from Bruce Banner, her issue is that she has a issue conveying confidence and being her true self. And so when she becomes the She-Hulk, she is able to be as confident and as feminine and as sometimes as sexual as she really wants to be, but finds it difficult to be in her normal persona. Well, you can kiss that shit goodbye. So immediately we're given the wink and the nod at the camera, and honestly, this is annoying, not because it doesn't happen in the comics, but because we already have a character that does this in the MCU, and that's Deadpool. And so now we're going to have two fourth wall breaking wink nod characters, and that's just going to get weird over time. But I digress. So we keep going forward with this story, and we see that Jennifer and Bruce are on a nice road trip, having fun, talking about stupid stuff. In particular, they're talking about Captain America and whether or not he is a virgin or has had sex. And it's a really stupid gag. And it's just, again, I don't know what the obsession is with making fun of Captain America post Endgame, but they just seem to want to do it like every chance they get in the MCU. I don't know if it's a Kevin Feige thing or what, but it seems to be like a weird through line. Anyway, so something happens, there's an accident, and instead of there being like the near-death experience of Jennifer getting Bruce's blood on her through blood transfusion, which makes sense, they basically treat the Hulk like an STD, whereas his blood is mixed with her blood after the crash because, surprise, surprise, Bruce has some sort of MacGuffin device that keeps him Bruce for the time being so that he can get hurt, and so this plot device can work. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so instead of just being Smart Hulk, and I guess to be incognito, he decides to use this device. They get in an accident, he bleeds on her, and she starts exhibiting Hulk powers. Now, here's the thing. So, here's weird, dumb scene number one. So, after she blacks out from becoming She-Hulk, she then wanders into a bar, and she's obviously looking disheveled. And so the ladies of the night decide that they're going to help her because they figure that she's been abused in some way by a gentleman, of course, because what else happens when a woman walks in disheveled? Right. So, they give her their clothes, and so now she is basically in a hoe uniform, for lack of a better term. So in her hoe uniform, she is then approached by some gentlemen who are looking to solicit her services, even though she's not offering any, but because she's wearing said uniform, of course, they approach. And they start, lightly harassing her, and, this upsets her, and so she is now about to basically murder all these gentlemen for essentially the crime of being propositioned in hoe uniform. But Bruce luckily stops her, and he then basically informs her that she is, in fact, a Hulk, and that they need to go somewhere where she can't hurt anybody so that they can train. So that she can basically learn to control her Hulk powers and not cause billions of dollars worth of destruction like Bruce has done in the past. Okay, fair enough. Sounds good, right? Well, here we go. So then it just gets stupid. So in addition to Jennifer being a fantastic lawyer, she apparently also has full emotional control and thus doesn't need Bruce's help in order to control her Hulk powers. And it's found out that not only is she better at controlling her powers after literally having them for less than, a few weeks, but also that she is apparently somehow stronger than Bruce. Why do we need to continually beat down male characters in order to build up female characters? If female characters were that awesome, you wouldn't need to do that. They could be awesome on their own. But apparently, Kevin Feige doesn't see it that way. I think She-Hulk is awesome enough to be awesome without having to tear down Hulk, but maybe that's just me. So we have to continually embarrass Hulk, which, by the way, the CGI in this is really, it's not as bad as the trailer, but it is inconsistent. And what's weird is that you can tell that they took the character models from previous iterations of Hulk, because his animations look consistent throughout, but hers are like just rough in places, and then in certain places it looks fine. It's almost like they let the intern handle it in some spots, and then in other spots, the pros took over, the A-team took over. And, so we have her continually being flippant at Bruce, basically just being very angry at him for the situation, which is understandable. But at the same time, what's not understandable is just how egregiously disrespectful she is, and then how they managed to really harm the character of Bruce Banner. He's very mild-mannered in the other movies. Certain times he's a little sinister, especially in the first Avengers, but overall he's a really kind of just, laid back character, because he has to be. He can't be overly emotional about anything, or else he'll, Hulk out. Obviously that's not an issue here, because he has mostly control, because he's, according to him, integrated the two halves of his persona in order to create the Smart Hulk. Now we know that, of course, the whole strength thing can be explained away, basically because we do know that Smart Hulk is not as strong as Savage Hulk, but even still, for a new Hulk to just be able to, show him up in feats of strength is kind of silly. And then for him to be somewhat jealous about it just isn't Bruce. And this all culminates in a fight between Jennifer and Bruce, which makes no sense, because we know that Bruce would never do something like that. Even if he was frustrated, it just doesn't make sense. Even for them to be cousins like that, come on, give me a break. So, of course, she's tired of him mansplaining, and she finally convinces him to allow her to leave. They leave, and she goes back to the courtroom to try to be normal Jen, but of course that's not going to happen. The court is attacked by a villain, and of course she Hulk out, which the villain has to be female, of course. And of course we know that this villain won't really suffer any real consequences, and this villain will end up being one of She-Hulk's confidants later on. I guarantee you of this. But basically, the dialogue is just very, very stupid. They try to make light of Bruce's struggles while highlighting Jennifer's very mundane issues when it comes to being a female in the 21st century. And it just comes off as kind of preachy and tone deaf. Now, to be honest, I really want to like this show, but it's really not only are the CGI distracting and kind of take you out of the experience, but again, this dialogue and the way that Jennifer speaks is just kind of grating. And I hope that doesn't persist throughout the rest of the episodes. But let me know what you guys thought about the first episode of She-Hulk, whether or not you thought that it was just MCU on full display, or whether or not you thought, hey man, I really like it. I love, when when characters that are new can completely usurp established characters without actually having to cooperate or work with them. Sound off in the comment section below. Let us know what you thought. And we'll see you on the next one. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace. I want to give a big 8-Bit Heroes welcome to some of our newer subscribers. Koba Cola, Kenny Van Essen, Nathan Hooven, Kenneth Hollins, and Santiago Gomez. Without you, this isn't possible. Thank you so much for subscribing, and welcome to the 8-Bit Heroes family.
If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.